is the ultimate love letter, and I'm Joe. Thank you so much for joining the conversation. I got a request last week to discuss my personal spiritual journey, the journey that God has me on, and what led to all that we're doing today, where I'm at today. And so, if you allow me, I would like to take you on that adventure from where it all began 10 years ago. I heard a quote many years ago that enlightenment is created through struggle and not through ease. And nothing can be more truthful. When I look at my own life, it was a series of dark bottoms, depression, and thoughts of suicide. I'm born and raised in LA, and I moved to Las Vegas my last year in high school to be closer with my gambling grandmother, who I adore. And I knew that when she passed, that when that time came, then I would come back to Los Angeles. And that's exactly what happened. And that time was 10 years ago. When I made the transition from Las Vegas back to LA, I had two of my younger children that were finishing school. And as I was moving back to LA, it became apparent at the last minute that my two boys would not be joining me. And that was a hard pill to swallow because I've always been the full-time mom. And I was in a very confused place. I had started to feel like I had made the wrong decision, that I was being misled. And this is a time way before I found God. Obviously, this was a time that allowed me to find God. And as I was traveling back and forth, literally week after week, every week, I would travel by Greyhound from Los Angeles to Las Vegas to spend the weekends with the boys. And every time I would return back to LA, I began to slip deeper and deeper into depression. I have never had any experience with depression ever. So I found myself Googling, like, how to overcome depression, how to deal with depression. During this whole time, my mom was reading a book. I didn't know the title to it, but she kept saying for weeks, I'm reading this fantastic book. I want you to read it when I'm done. And she would say this to me several times over the course of like 3 or 4 weeks. And I remember a crucial return back from one of the weekends with my boys. That depression had descended into suicidal thoughts. And it scared the hell out of me because not only had I never dealt with depression, but the thought that I'm even contemplating suicide was something so far. I had never thought I would ever reach the depths of such darkness, but here I found myself at the very bottom. And when I got back home, the only person I shared my thoughts with was my mother. And she immediately, I remember her collecting those thoughts that I had placed on her, turning around, going into her bedroom, and emerging with this book in her hand. And she said, here, you read this and you read this now. And it was the teachings of Abraham. And the book today is called The Law of Attraction by Esther Hicks. And I read that book from cover to cover in 48 hours. I was pulled in immediately. And I was at the time not a big reader. I don't think I've ever finished a book. And so for me to sit with this book for 2 days and finish it it said something. And I know what God was doing was he was sparking the healing process in me. I wanted to test the theory. So the teachings of Abraham talks about an entity who essentially discloses the secret to life, that the way we are thinking and feeling is the way we are creating our life. So if our thoughts are always on pain or lack or disease, or if we're always just expecting for things to happen adversely in our life, then by the power of our minds, we will absolutely create that in our life. That will be our experience because we are that powerful. At the same time, if we were to shift our mindset to only those things that bring us joy, only those things that we love, only those things that bring us peace, by the power of our minds, we too will create that as an experience. And I was intrigued because I thought, can it really be that simple? And so I said, I'm going to test that theory. Something else about me back then, I was never a person to complete things. I knew that in myself. I knew that I don't complete things. I start things and then I never finish them. I knew that was true about me. But that reading of that book and the theory they planted in me, I said, this I will complete. This I must get to the bottom of. This I must know the truth to. Because if it is that easy that I am creating my experience based on my thoughts, you better believe I'm going to start switching these thoughts immediately. So I went out to test the theory, immediately feeling just a little bit better in my depression. I had ascended just a little bit out of it, or I was beginning to ascend upwards with the knowledge of the teachings of Abraham. And I began to test it in the smallest things. I remember I had a friend and his girlfriend that were coming to Los Angeles, and me and my mother had offered to take them out for cocktails. And I had no money at the time at all. And I certainly wasn't going to ask my mom, but I just felt led organically, intuitively by the universe. And that's another thing. I was calling this entity, this higher being, this divine wisdom, I was labeling it, quote unquote, the universe. And I knew that whatever I asked of the universe, according to the book, and as I focus on it, then I would attract that. So as I was waiting for the day to come for my friends to arrive, and the day came and they arrived, and now it's only hours before we're to take them out and I still have no money, I just began to remember all the teachings that was in the book. I can have whatever I put my mind to. And something, I was laying in bed, I'll never forget it. I was laying in bed, it was in the afternoon, and a commercial came on for J.G. Wentworth. J.G. Those are my initials, are J.G. Joe Galvan. And I had heard that commercial dozens of times, hundreds of times probably, and this time it was highlighted for me. Almost as if something was calling for me. I heard, JG, Wentworth, like small Wentworth, but I heard JG loud on the commercial. And it said, the slogan was, "It's your money, ask for it now. It's your money, ask for it now." And I said, wait a minute. Is that spirit? Is that universe calling for me to call it back to the money that's mine? So I did just that. In that moment, I said, you're right, universe. It's my money. I want it now. And I remember calling it out 3 times. It's my money. I want it now. It's my money. I want it now. And I promise you, I can't make this up. Within 2 minutes, my mother slid underneath my bedroom door an envelope. It was like a piece of mail that had come. And when I opened the mail, it was a check from like some old insurance account that I've had, I don't know, 9 years before, who knows. And it was a check for just, a couple $100. And just the right amount that I needed to treat my friends and my mother to cocktails that night. And that's when I started to really understand that, yes, this theory that we can have it all, this divine intelligence that is taking care of us, this universal presence that is just waiting to deliver anything that we're focused upon, anything that we're believing about ourselves, whether we're believing the best about ourselves or the worst, it is unbiased and it is giving us whatever it is that we're feeling, that we're thinking about, that we're daydreaming about, that we're expecting to happen. And so I was hooked. And so my depression, I ascended a little more out of my depression because now the theory is working. And what's interesting is that book, The Teachings of Abraham, led to another book, which was The Secret by Rhonda Byrne. The Secret led to another book, which was The Magic by Rhonda Byrne. And The Magic changed my entire life. The Magic is all about gratitude. It is a 30-day gratitude journal. And Rhonda talks about how when we are in the frequency of just giving gratitude, even for the smallest things, a cup of coffee, finding money on the street, right? Even $1 on the street, finding coins on the street, the health of your body, the health of your friends and your family, the job that you hold, the car that gets you to the job, electricity, food, all the things that we take for granted every day. If you can just find time every day, if you can just make time, because you have time, if you can just make time every day to just give gratitude for a few things every day, the universe, right, quote unquote, the universe, because I'm still calling this entity the universe, will pour out everything more to be grateful for. So Rhonda recommends that you start off giving gratitude for 10 things a day. And so I did that for 30 days. And before I knew it, after 30 days, it was like my list was up to like 20, 30 things and more than that. But my hand grew tired of journaling all of the things I had in my life to be grateful for. Like as I gave gratitude for the tiniest things, bigger and bigger things became to just flood in my life that I had more things to give gratitude for. And here's another thing. I remember just in that little time of giving gratitude, and it was just maybe a couple months, everything in my life changed. Like I was able to move out of my parents' house into my own beautiful apartment where I'm still at today, this apartment that I'm recording this conversation from. I received promotions at work. Like everything began to just shine like gold. The depression was gone. Suicidal thoughts so far away from my mind, almost like I never had them. And it all started with gratitude, with journaling gratitude. And I remember when the universe, right, quote unquote, the universe, began to share with me that gratitude was the key to everything. I remember as I was reading Rhonda's book, The Magic, I saw that she was promoting her gratitude journal. And it was a beautiful leather bound journal. And I purchased her journal on Amazon. It's the very first gratitude journal I ever started. Of course, I still have it. And I'm now like, I have like 17 journals filled, on my shelf now. But my very first journal was a Rhonda Burns leatherback journal. And when I bought it from Amazon, it arrived and I was on my way out to work. And it was in a little box. And I remember I just grabbed it from the porch. I threw it in the front seat with me and I went off to work. And as I was going off to work, I was already getting in the routine of like asking the universe for things and staying open for the signs coming from billboards or license plates or, other ads or maybe a song that I hear on the radio, like, right? The universe is always communicating to us. So I was asking for something specific, and I don't remember exactly what it is, but that doesn't matter. But I was asking for something specific. And I was asking the universe, like, how could I have this? I really want this. If you could just guide me to that, because I really want to attract this thing. All of a sudden, I look up at a Jack in the Box sign, right? But the trees are literally covering the word Jack. But I know that it's a Jack in the Box sign. But I paid close attention because it was covering the word Jack, and the only words that were visible was in the box. So as I was asking the universe for this thing and how to attract it, the sign that came immediately was in the box, in the box. And then it hit me. I said, oh, wait, I looked at the box that was in the seat with me. And in the box was the gratitude journal. And I'll never forget that because that was, again, one of the earliest signs where the theory of everything I learned in the teachings of Abraham and The Secret was true. Anything we are thinking about, feeling about, anything we're giving thanks for, anything we are feeling good about must come. Must come. At the same time, anything we're feeling not so good about, anything we are worried about or anxious about, that too must come. So we get to decide in every moment. And that message, when I asked, how can I have this one thing? The universe was saying, it's in the box, meaning use the gratitude journal and you will have that thing and anything else you want. So, so many benefits came from journaling gratitude. I do it every day. It is my routine every day. I don't move. Everybody who knows me knows I don't start my day. I don't look at my phone. I don't go to work. I don't talk to anybody. I don't do anything until I, 1, read my devotional, 2, journal my gratitude, and then I can start my day. As I began to consistently journal, I noticed that I was on a high. By the time I left by the time I left home to go to work and I hit the 101 freeway, I was high on life, like in bliss. I was in the clouds. And it was a high I had never felt before. And it only came from journaling gratitude every day. Like that is the magic. That's probably why Rhonda Byrne named the book The Magic, because it is magic. I tell everybody, if you can do one thing every day, hands down, for me, in my opinion, it is to journal gratitude every day for the rest of your life. It is money in the bank. Like it brings all the right connections. It brings all the peace. It brings all the health. It brings all the food. It brings all the comforts. It brings all the luxuries of life. We, quite honestly, we cannot afford to not be giving gratitude every single day for every little thing. Every day. Just do it for 30 days. I challenge you, your life going to change in 31. Like period. It's going to change your life hands down if you can do it consistently every day. Not skipping a day, not skipping 2 days. If you can do it consistently every day, I am willing to bet anything your life will absolutely change. It's just natural law. Something else that changed is now I keep saying I was calling this force, this higher energy, the universe, which it is true, it is the universe. That's what I was learning to call it in the teachings of Abraham. But something that book also said early on is you can call this entity anything you like. You are to use this theory, this energy alongside any of your religious beliefs, whether you're Muslim, Hindu, Christian, atheist, whatever it is, whatever spiritual practice you're aligned with, whatever religion you're a part of, whatever you believe, period, use these teachings, use this wisdom along with that. Call it whatever. And so I chose to call it the universe. But here's another thing that happened. After about 2 years, just saying, thank you, universe. Thank you for my beautiful home. Thank you, universe, for the money. Thank you, universe, for the home. Clarity began to come in. And I began to sense what was really there. The energy that was present side by side with me. And it was God. And yes, God created everything, including the universe. But God let me know when it was the right time that it is me here with you. And it is okay for you to call it by the truth. You can address me as your God. The one who is making it all happen. The one who's been guiding you this whole time. The one who is bringing you everything. Call it for what it really is. Your God. And so the title, quote unquote, universe changed to my God. My beautiful, glorious, faithful God. And as I began to call him what he was, what it is, he began to reveal himself to me almost in form. Almost in form. My life continued to ascend further and further and even deeper and deeper once I identified what this source really was. And if you want to call this energy universal, you're not wrong. If that is what resonates for you, continue that. You're on the right path. For me, I just know what it is, and it is God. And all the desires, when I look at how my life has changed, like almost completely 360, actually like 360. And I'm going to say that because it's like I have reverted back to who I was as a child. And isn't that the whole point? The whole point is to become as playful and as giddy and as peaceful as we were as children, to do all the things that we loved and we wanted to do when we were children. I think about where I live. When I moved back to LA, I wanted to live in Hollywood. I love the hikes. I love the views. I love the cafes. I love the forest or the trees and the greenery, and I love it all. And as I began to use the teachings of Abraham, I effortlessly attracted the most beautiful vintage classic home in Hollywood, exactly where I wanted to be. And it's only 6 minutes from my childhood home. That was the first step of me seeing, like, wow, I'm really reverting back to my childhood. I was a writer in my childhood. I wrote my first book at 8 years old. And even though I always knew writing was a part of the plan, writing was what I loved to do more than anything, of course, the pressures of life and having to earn an income and raise a family, you get away from the creative side, right? You don't see how that can earn a living. But now I see I'm writing again. I wrote a book. I'm writing another book that is almost done now and that's being finalized now. And God made all that possible as I kept my eyes, or as I, yes, kept my eyes on Him, but got to know Him. Another thing that I wanted to do, what I love to do, writing was the first thing. And at 8 years old, until I had my first child, I wanted to be a doctor. I loved anything in the medical field. My parents would be so proud. They would, when their friends would come over, they would say, "Joe, tell them, what do you want to be when you grow up?" And I would say, I'm proudly, I want to be a doctor. I played with little doctor sets. I would collect insects and like bring them back to like health. I loved anything that had to do with the medical field. And again, life gets in the way if we let it. And I had my first son, and I realized I can't go to med school. I need to find work immediately. So then the dream of being a doctor went out the window. Something that just occurred to me just recently was that as I was working with clients, and I'm a life coach, right? Someone came up to me, this prophet, and he said, "You know, you're a therapist. You're a doctor. You are able to listen to people, and you are able to just speak life and truth and healing into people." And then it occurred to me, like I just cried, because I thought, oh my goodness, God, here it is. You're bringing another dream to full circle. Yes, I didn't go to med school, but the darkness that I went through 10 years ago that sparked enlightenment in my life and the healing that I needed to do in order to come out of that darkness, in order to heal those suicidal thoughts. All that healing I now give to the world. So yes, I am a healer. Yes, that is a doctor. And that is the creativity of God. He has a way of bringing back all the dreams that you thought were dead, all the dreams that you don't feel like you could even rehash and bring back to life. You're right, you can't do it, but God can. And He certainly will when we allow Him. And the only thing we have to do when we talk about allowing Him is getting to know Him and trusting the process that He brings it about. It's been a journey for sure, and it's been a marvelous one. Getting close to God, I have lived the life that I did not have the capacity nor the creativity to think of my own. I've always had a thirst for travel since I was 18. I took my first solo trip when I was 18. And through the years, before I knew God, I would take one little trip, for maybe 1 or 2 weeks a year. As I got to know God, God increased the trips. Like the the trips got up to be like 4 and 5 a year. Like just this year alone, I've been to, I think I'm up to 9 countries. And we're in the 11th month. I'm saying this again, we're in the 11th month, and I have been to 9 countries this year alone. This year alone. And I'm not done. I'm going to my 10th country of the year in a few weeks. I could never have done that. God does that. God told me a few years ago, He said, "You are connected to me. Now I am going to connect you to the world." And He has done just that in the biggest way I could ever imagined. You know, those little trips that I would take like 1 and 2 weeks a year? Oh no. God takes me away now for like 2 months out of the year. How could I be doing that? I don't even know how I'm doing that. God works it out though. One step at a time, God works it out. Every year I go into a year and I'm thinking there's no way He can top the year before. But God does every single time. I think it was like 4 trips last year, and I thought that was the biggest year I've ever taken. There's no way He's going to do more than that this year. Oh, please. 9 countries later in less than a year. It's explosive what He can do when we allow Him. Do yourself a favor. Get into gratitude journaling right now and never stop. Get to know your God, whatever you call that entity, right now and never stop. Let the dreams that have died a long time ago, allow them to come back. Thank you so much for listening on my journey to 10 years. This has only been 10 years. Can you imagine what the next 20 years will look like? Pretty crazy. Until next time, love yourself and love others. We'll chat again soon. Bye for now.